Colombian unions and student groups held their second national strike in less than a week on Wednesday to honor a dead demonstrator, while also protesting against rumored government economic plans, corruption and police violence. The series of protests began last week with 250,000 marching and calling in for a nationwide strike. Demonstrators are protesting against Colombian government's economic plans, rise in the pension age and a massive cut in the minimum wage for youth labour. Protesters are demanding government action in preventing corruption and the murder of hundreds of human rights activists by security forces. Anti-government protesters burnt down an Iranian consulate building in southern Iraq on Wednesday. Protesters torched the consulate in the holy city of Najaf in the evening. One protester was killed and at least 35 people were wounded when police fired live ammunition to prevent them from entering the building. Demonstrators removed the Iranian flag from the building and replaced it with Iraq's flag. The incident marked an escalation in the demonstrations that have raged in Baghdad and across the mostly Shiite southern Iraq since October 1st.
نورت السفارة نورت.
Protesters blocked all of Santiago's main highways as anti-government demonstrators are trying to keep the pressure going on President Sebastián Pinera. The protesters have also hobbled the capital's public transport system and caused billions in losses for private businesses. The protests came on a day after Chile's president asked lawmakers to allow troops back on the streets to defend public infrastructure. This happened even as a human rights group reported grave abuses by security forces during 5 weeks of rioting in the country. The continuing protests in Chile over inequality and patchy social services have left at least 26 dead and more than 13,000 police and civilians injured. A special anti-terrorism tribunal in Bangladesh sentenced 7 members of a banned militant group to death on Wednesday for their involvement in an attack on a Dhaka cafe which killed more than 20 people, mostly foreigners. 5 militants took hostages and opened fire on the Holy Artisan Bakery on July 1st, 2016. 20 hostages were killed, including 17 from Japan, Italy and India. The 5 militants were killed by commandos during a 12-hour standoff. A chemical plant in East Texas exploded, blowing out windows from homes several miles away. The company said the plant provided a diverse range of quality products to chemical and petroleum-based companies worldwide. The company employs more than 175 full-time employees and 50 contractors. The Netherlands Volunteer Fire Department has said on its Facebook page that there is a mandatory evacuation for everyone within a half-mile of the plant. The evacuation could expand to a greater area. Residents from the south of Syria's Idlib province flee north after an uptick in bombardment by the regime and its allies on villages in the south of the region, which is largely held by rebels and jihadists. Fierce fighting has taken place around the northwestern Syrian province of Idlib, the last stronghold of the rebels and jihadist groups, as government forces continue to make advances in the north of the region. At least 7 people died in the town of Cusco in Peru on Wednesday after a bus carrying school groups lost control and careered off the road. According to reports, 4 adults and 3 students were amongst the dead. Speed and precarious road conditions are being blamed for the bus falling some 50 meters down to a ravine. Bus crashes are common in Peru's highland areas, with winding roads and mountains making the terrain difficult to traverse. Spanish emergency teams rescued 90 migrants off the coast of Gran Canaria in Spain's Canary Islands. 3 boats were carrying between 88 and 90 people, including 48 men, 31 women, 6 of whom are pregnant, and 8 babies. There was no immediate information on the nationalities of the rescued migrants. A New York judge has denied Hollywood producer Harvey Weinstein's request to dismiss 2 predatory sexual assault charges against him. The decision was delivered by Justice James Burke of the state Supreme Court in Manhattan and is being seen as a victory for prosecutors who have charged Weinstein with 5 sex crimes, including rape. Weinstein had pleaded not guilty to charges stemming from his alleged sexual misconduct towards 2 female accusers in the years 2006 and 2013. French Cardinal Philippe Barbarin is set to appeal against a court verdict that had found him guilty of failing to act on sexual abuse. A French court had convicted the Roman Catholic Archbishop of Lyon last March for inaction on historic allegations of sexual abuse of Boy Scouts in his diocese, handing him a 6-month suspended jail sentence. "47 Nigerian men pleaded not guilty to a homosexuality charge in Lagos. Homosexuality is a crime in Nigeria and can invite 10-year jail term. 57 people were arrested by police after raiding a hotel in the impoverished Egbeda district in August 2018. While the police say the men were being initiated into a gay club, the accused say that they were just attending a birthday party. However, the prosecutors have clarified that nobody has been convicted under the law, which came into force under former Nigerian President Goodluck Jonathan in 2014. But human rights groups say the law has been used to extort bribes from suspects in exchange for leniency. Japan and South Korea scrambled jets to shadow 2 Russian strategic bombers over the neutral waters of the Sea of Japan and the East China Sea. At certain stages of the route, Tu-95Ms were accompanied by a couple of F-15 South Korean Air Force fighter jets and F-16 fighters, South Korean Air Force and F-2 Japanese Air Force. Two former Guinea-Bissau prime ministers have advanced to the next round of the country's presidential election. Domingos Simões Pereira finished first with 40%, followed by Umaro Sissoko Embalo at 28%, leaving incumbent Jose Mario Vaz a distant 4th after a tenure marked by infighting and corruption scandals. The political instability has hurt the economy, which depends heavily on volatile prices for cashew nuts, the main income source for over 2/3 of the households. Two winter storms blasted parts of the United States on Wednesday, disrupting travel plans for millions of Americans who typically jump the country's highways and airports to visit family and friends over the long Thanksgiving weekend. One of the hardest hit areas was Minnesota's Twin Cities region, which was blanketed in white by the same storm that clobbered the Denver area a day earlier. Meanwhile, in Chicago, 60 miles per hour and gusts have hampered one of the busiest travel days of the year. More than 2,000 Albanians in Durrës are spending their second night in tents after their homes were destroyed by a powerful earthquake on November 26. Football stadium in Durrës has been turned into a shelter camp, with more tents being set up as the number of people seeking refuge have increased. Hundreds of aftershocks, some of them strong, followed the magnitude 6.4 quake that struck the Albanian coastal cities before dawn on November 26th, which claimed 26 lives and injured more than 650. A powerful snowstorm swept across Colorado and into the U.S. Midwest, blocking roads and causing hundreds of flight cancellations, altering travel plans for many hoping to fly or drive to Thanksgiving feasts this week. The storm dumped a foot of snow in parts of Colorado and buffeted the Denver area with wind gusts of 45 miles per hour. A pair of storms packing heavy snow and hurricane-force winds wreaked havoc for Americans on the move for the Thanksgiving holiday. On one of the busiest travel days of the year in America, an estimated 55 million people planning to drive or fly. Highways in the West and Midwest were closed because of snow and hundreds of flights were cancelled. The U.S. Northwest has not been hit by such a powerful storm ever since 1962. Five people have died and 3 others are hospitalized after a fire swept through a high-rise apartment building. The fire struck in a public housing complex mostly inhabited by single people and seniors. Firefighters found heavy smoke on the 16th and 17th floors as residents were evacuated through the building's stairwells. Spanish police has managed to tow a sunken submarine believed to be carrying tons of cocaine into a northwestern port and began preparations to extract its cargo. Police were hoping to crane lift the 20-meter submarine onto the dock at port of Aldan so that they could get inside more easily. The submarine sank as police tried to intercept it last Sunday in the northwestern region of Galicia. It wasn't clear if the crew, 2 of whom have been arrested, sank it on purpose. Next time you wash your dishes, you could find yourself up to your elbows in soap suds spiked with leftover alcohol if the world's largest brewer and an environment-friendly detergent firm have their way. The company said that its brewing facility in Leuven, Europe's largest, could extract alcohol from 1.2 billion litres of beer a year at maximum capacity, and it planned to spread the practice worldwide. Residual alcohol, which serves as the active cleaning and preservative component, is extracted, cleaned and sent to e-cover for use in its Too Good to Waste detergent. Santas in London went back to school to ensure maximum cheer this festive season. The Ministry of Fun is hosting the 23rd annual Santa School at Southwark Cathedral, making sure performers have the perfect Father Christmas costume, know the top toys for 2019 and most importantly know how to answer children's questions in the grotto. The Santas also learn how to say Merry Christmas in multiple languages and recite the names of all the reindeer who pull Santa's sleigh.
Down each chimney, upload a stocking, eat a mince pie, swig some sherry.
The 14th edition of the Tibetan Buddhist Conference on Religion has begun in India's northern hilly city of Dharamshala. Representatives from different schools of Tibetan Buddhism and Bon tradition were present during the opening ceremony of the 3-day-long conference. Tibetan spiritual leader the Dalai Lama will attend the closing ceremony of the Buddhist conference on November 29th.